My name is Maike Jansen and I'm a Public Affairs Advisor for Ecommerce Europe, the European Digital Commerce Association. We'd like to start by thanking the organizers for the opportunity to provide my contribution to this event and for allowing us to inform you about the important developments coming from the EU. Ecommerce Europe is based at the heart of the EU, in Brussels. And to our 24 national e-commerce associations, we represent around 150,000 online merchants. Our mission is to act at EU level to help policymakers create a better legislative framework for digital sellers in Europe. And our Portuguese member ACEPI is our connection to the Portuguese merchants. In this last, very difficult year, e-commerce has proven to be crucial for the continuation of economic activity in Europe. And it's still crucial. Because of the national lockdown measures, many brick-and-mortar retailers have been obliged to close their physical stores. However, there's also another side to this, because the crisis has also accelerated the digital transformation of these businesses, and many of them have developed an online presence to stay afloat, often using seamless commerce solutions to meet consumer needs during this important period. At Ecommerce Europe, we see the lines between online and offline commerce becoming more and more blurry, as we're moving towards an omni-channel, seamless commerce sector. And the COVID-19 crisis has showed the importance of a digital, and especially how physical commerce and e-commerce can complement each other. And we believe this trend is set to accelerate. In terms of legislation coming from the EU, which is my focus area, we see a dual development. On the one hand, we see the recognition of channel neutrality and omni-channel, but on the other hand, we also see a very strong focus on digital, and in particular on the platform economy. The platform economy is redefining the way that retailers sell goods and services online. And more e-shops are using platforms to continue their operations in these times, but also to maximize their sales. In general, this trend is creating intense new competition within the European borders, but also beyond those. And in Brussels, we see these issues and these topics coming back in the legislative proposals on the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act. And the responsibility and liability of the various actors in this value chain is important. Consumer trust and loyalty, how SMEs can thrive and compete in an increasingly competitive world, the role of data and transparency, and they're all topics that we're discussing at this moment with policymakers. The focus on platforms and larger companies can also be seen in the Commission's aims to introduce a proposal for an EU digital levy. And this proposal is most likely coming out on 14 July. And the taxation of the fast digitalizing economy is a global issue. And it ultimately requires a global solution. However, while developments are rapidly progressing at OECD level, with the most recent G7 agreement also, the EU will still move forward with a separate EU digital tax. And we also see at the same time that several European countries are adopting unilateral solutions. And for Ecommerce Europe and for European businesses, we believe that it's important that the new taxation framework is global and that it ensures a level playing field so that companies are taxed in a fair, non-discriminatory and channel-neutral way. This year is also an important year for the developments on product safety coming from Brussels. This is both for the discussions on the Digital Services Act, but also for the upcoming revisions of the General Product Safety Directive and the Product Liability Directive. And while the rules will be updated, there's one very, very important point to mention. We always stress that these new rules can only be effective if the enforcement is improved. And currently, customs and market surveillance authorities are severely understaffed and under-resourced, and that needs to change. With regards to the EPrivacy regulation, we see that the Portuguese presidency has been very successful, and they have been able to pull out this file from a very, very long deadlock in Council. And we're currently in the process of the trilogue negotiations, and the upcoming Slovenian presidency will be able to make important next steps on the file. And Ecommerce Europe is an active stakeholder in this discussion. Finally, there's also a lot of developments in the fields of data and AI. This summer, actually, the European Commission has opened a public consultation on the Data Act and on amending the rules on the legal protection of databases. and Ecommerce Europe will work on a reply for this consultation. Earlier this year, in April, the European Commission presented its proposal for a regulation on artificial intelligence. And this text is following a risk-based approach, and it regulates AI systems based on their intended use. So it distinguishes between the uses of AI that could create unacceptable risks, and therefore they're prohibited, between uses that could generate high risks or those that have low or minimal risks. And the high-risk AI applications will be subject to very strict requirements in this regulation. Finally, we see new developments in the e-commerce sector in the field of IoT. For instance, you can look at voice commerce, and we see a trend towards the increasing availability of voice assistants and user interfaces enabling interaction with smart devices and consumer IoT services. And while we see this as a very important development for the future of e-commerce, of voice commerce, we also have some relevant policy implications. You can think of, for instance, privacy issues, data use, but also a competitive element. And of course, these issues I described today, they're by no means an exhaustive list. There's many other things coming up, strategies by the European institutions being implemented, business initiatives being developed. But for today, I would like to end my contribution then by inviting everyone to reach out to Ecommerce Europe in case they have any further questions about EU policy developments or about Ecommerce Europe in general. Thank you.